All right, good morning. This is your review for Chapter 5. This is what the quiz is. I'm going to show you exactly how I want it done. So rather than doing math and that counting and all of that actual physical stuff, I'm going to have you do something that's even better and different. And so you may be like, well, I don't want to feel sure about this. Okay, that may be the case, but this is something I think will help us pull all of the ideas together and remember them better. So what I'm going to do, we've got two options. One, you can create a video like I'm doing here, and you can write out the stuff and do it for me. Or, which will be a little bit harder because there'll be a lot of noise, or you can take out your journal. This is really what I want, but I would give you the option. You can do either one. Get out your math journal, and you're going to write out all of the key ideas and any formulas or things that are covered in the lesson. You're going to look at each example. So when I go back and I look at your Chapter 5, Lesson 1, which is 5.1, 192, so I would go like this in my notebook. If you would have to do the same thing in the video that I'm doing right here, but you can just do it in your notebook and not have to write and talk at the same time, which would be way faster. I'm just saying. Okay, lesson 5.1 is about ratio. It says key idea and ratio. Everything is about ratio in 5.1. And ratio is when you're looking at something, the first one they give us is pennies to quarters, like so. And put a little box around it like they do, pennies to quarters, and it says 5 to 8. And I could write it out. I could just say there's 5 pennies, or I could draw a picture. Depends on what you want to do. Oops, don't dot your E's. 5 pennies, and there's 8 quarters. There you go. A ratio. So the pennies to quarters, and the way it said, what is the ratio? What it says, write the ratio. This is the ratio of pennies to quarters, and the opposite would be ratio of quarters to pennies. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm showing that I understand that the first thing you say is what goes on top, quarters to pennies, and the second thing goes on the bottom. So for a quarters to pennies ratio, the quarters are on top, so it would be 8 over 5. And then if it's a really large number, they're talking about reducing it. So let's say in a class, well, let's just say like the beginning of the year we had girls to boys. If a ratio is, the next one they show is girls to boys. And let's say we just make up some number. If it was 500 to 600, don't worry about being our school at all. There's girls to boys ratio 500 to 600 in some school. Then it would be girls to boy. What's the ratio of boys to girls? The ratio of boys to girls. So we got boys on top, girls on the bottom. So it's 6 over 600 over 500, which is equal to 6 over 5. So you would reduce to the smallest number possible, if that makes sense. All right? All right, and then it shows any kind of thing you can do ratios. It also shows you how to reduce in here when you're reducing a fraction, so it's really important. Also, it starts comparing in terms of percentages. So, example number 4 on 5.1 would be really important to notice. It has, well, let's just use this. Use percents to compare scores. So this would be something good to remember. If it's 4 over 5, it's equal to 0.8, which is equal to 80%. So you have a record here of how to take something from a fraction to a decimal to a percent. If you can't remember this step right here to this step right here, then it would be a wise choice to write it down real quick, which would be you're dividing 4 by 5. So you would do the long division here, and you would go 5 goes into 4, 0 times, and then you add your decimal. 5 goes into 40, how many times? 8. Oops, I did that in the wrong spot. 8, and then 8 times 5 is 40, and I get 0, and then look right there, I got 0.8. So that's how you got that, and then if you don't remember how to do the next one, it seems like if you looked at it, you'd figure it out. So just moving the decimal from here over 2 times to get that. And this is what you need to do on every lesson, all the way to lesson 5.6. So really, I will grade on how thorough you are on getting the concepts out of each lesson from the beginning. You don't have to do any of the problems, just the beginning part. Writing down and recording what the key idea is, or what the key concept is that is being taught, which could be, whether it's ratio or fractions, or I don't know, whatever it is, that needs to be definitely stated, and then examples of actual work that is covered.